The air in our Upper East Side penthouse always smelled of expensive lilies and old money. I was sitting in the library, the acceptance letter from Yale resting on my lap, when the heavy mahogany doors swung open. My mother, or the woman I had called mother for 18 years, walked in, her face a mask of pale horror. Behind her stood a girl who looked like a bedraggled shadow of me. She had my mother's high cheekbones and my father's deep-set eyes, but her clothes were thrift store denim and her expression was pure venom. "Maya," my mother whispered, her voice trembling. "This is Sloane, she. She has the DNA results." In a different life, this would have been the moment I crumbled. In the original timeline, the one I'd dreamed of in flashes since I was a child, this was the day Maya Vance was destroyed. Sloane was supposed to drop this bombshell a week before graduation, sending me into a spiral of depression that would cost me my scholarship, my reputation, and eventually my sanity. But I wasn't that Maya. I was the Maya who had woken up 3 years ago with the memories of a previous life and a cold, calculating drive to survive. I knew the script, I knew the players, and I knew exactly how Sloane planned to use her rightful status to bury me. "I know," I said, my voice as smooth as glass. I didn't even stand up. I reached into my desk drawer and pulled out a sleek silver folder. "I've had the results for 6 months, Mom. I was just waiting for the right time to discuss the transition." Sloane's jaw dropped. She had expected tears, a frantic denial, a scene she could record and leak to the vultures of the Upper East Side. She wanted to watch the fake heiress beg for mercy while she played the long-lost victim. Instead, I stood up, smoothed out my silk skirt, and walked toward her. I could see the resentment simmering in her eyes, the look of someone who felt the world owed her 18 years of luxury in a single afternoon. "The legal paperwork for the trust fund separation is already drafted," I continued, pressing the folder into her stunned hands. "I've also cataloged every gift and piece of jewelry the Vances gave me over the years. They're in the dressing room, ready for you to review. I've already secured my own apartment in Queens. Welcome home, Sloane. I hope the reality of this life lives up to your fantasies." I walked past her, the scent of my perfume lingering in the air. I could feel her eyes burning into my back, a mixture of confusion and unadulterated hate. She had come for a war, but I had already surrendered the territory she wanted, only to move the battle to a field she didn't even know existed. To the Vances, poise was everything. By acting like the daughter they raised, I had already made Sloane look like an intruder in her own home. The weeks that followed were a masterclass in psychological warfare. The Vances, terrified of a public scandal that would tank their stock prices, insisted we both stay in the penthouse until the situation was managed. Sloane moved into my suite, and I moved into the guest wing, but the proximity only made her more desperate. She wanted to erase my existence, but every time the housekeeper called me Miss Maya out of habit, Sloane's face contorted with a rage she couldn't hide. Sloane was obsessed with canceling me. She spent her nights on Manhattan Confidential, an anonymous gossip site, leaking twisted stories about how I had bullied her in the past or how I had known the truth and stayed silent to steal more money. Every morning at school, the whispers grew louder. My friends suddenly found other tables to sit at during lunch. I was the ghost of the Upper East Side, a girl whose name was being dragged through the mud by a sister who hadn't even learned how to hold a champagne flute correctly. But while Sloane was busy playing the victim on social media, I was playing the long game. I spent my afternoons in a cramped, 2-bedroom apartment in Queens, the home of my biological parents, the Millers. They were kind, hardworking people who looked at me with a mix of guilt and awe. I didn't ask them for money. I asked them for help with my tech startup. My biological father was a retired coder, and together, we spent nights refining the algorithm for my new app, ClassAct, a platform designed to disrupt the very tutoring industry that kept the Manhattan elite ahead of everyone else. I was building a future that didn't require a Vance trust fund. At school, I remained a ghost. I didn't defend myself against Sloane's leaks. I didn't cry when she accidentally spilled red wine on my graduation gown. I simply ordered a new one with the money I was making from my app's beta testers. The pressure was mounting. Sloane was trying to sabotage my final exams, stealing my notes, and even trying to bribe a teacher to fail me. She wanted the valedictorian title, not because she wanted the education, but because she wanted to take it from me. But she forgot one thing. She had spent the last decade in survival mode, while I had spent the last 3 years mastering the very curriculum she was trying to learn in a week. As the exams approached, Sloane's face grew more haggard. She was the one living in a penthouse, yet she was the one who looked like she was losing her grip on reality. The night of the debutante gala arrived, the crown jewel of the New York social season. It was meant to be Sloane's official coming-out party as a Vance. She looked stunning in a custom Vera Wang, but her eyes were darting around the ballroom like a trapped animal. She knew that despite the name change, the elite still looked at her as a curiosity, while they still looked at me as a Vance. I could see her spiraling. She needed a final, crushing victory to secure her place. I arrived in a simple, vintage black dress I'd found in a thrift shop in Queens. I looked like a classic film star. Sloane looked like she was wearing a costume. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a steak knife. Halfway through the night, a scream pierced the air. "My necklace, it's gone!" My mother, Mrs. Vance, was clutching her throat. The Vance star, a $200,000 heirloom diamond, had vanished from her vanity during the gala. Sloane immediately pointed a trembling finger at me. "I saw Maya coming out of Mom's room earlier. She was carrying her clutch. She's jealous that she's being replaced and wants to rob the family on her way out." The room went silent. Security moved toward me. Sloane's face was twisted in a triumphant sneer. This was her masterpiece. She had planted the necklace in my bag, and she was going to have me arrested in front of the most powerful people in the world. She thought she had finally written the ending she deserved. "Maya, honey, please tell me you didn't," my father said, his voice cold and disappointed. He valued the Vance reputation above all else, and this was the ultimate stain. "I didn't," I said, holding up my phone. "But I did catch who did. You see, I knew Sloane had a habit of entering my room to borrow things, so I installed a few discreet security upgrades. I believe the footage is currently streaming to the large monitors in the lounge." I tapped a button, and the screen behind the orchestra flickered to life. It wasn't just a video of the theft. It was a conversation from 20 minutes ago in the hallway. Sloane was caught on camera pulling the diamond from her bodice and shoving it into my purse. Then, the audio played. Sloane's voice on the recording, "I don't care about this family, Maya. These people are walking atoms. Once I get the inheritance, I'm paying off my debts and getting as far away from these plastic Vances as possible. But first, I'm going to make sure you leave here in handcuffs. Who's the real daughter now?" The silence that followed was deafening. Sloane's face went from white to a sickly shade of gray. I reached into my clutch, pulled out the necklace, and handed it to a stunned security guard. "I found this in my bag 2 minutes ago. I was just waiting for everyone to be present so the truth couldn't be buried." The fallout was swifter than any gossip blog could track. The Vances, whose primary religion was image and loyalty, couldn't forgive Sloane's recorded confession. It wasn't about the swap anymore. It was about the betrayal of the brand. She wasn't just an outsider. She was a liability. The girl they had brought into their home to rectify a mistake had proven to be the biggest mistake of all. Julian Vance, my brother and the future of the family empire, was the one who handled it. He was a man made of ice and spreadsheets. He looked at Sloane not with anger, but with the disgust one reserves for a faulty product. Within 48 hours, Sloane was packed off to a highly restrictive boarding school in Switzerland, a gilded prison where her every move would be monitored by Vance-paid security. She had wanted the Vance life. Now she had the darkest part of it, total, controlled isolation without a cent to her name. As for me, I didn't go back to the penthouse. I packed the rest of my things and moved into the Miller apartment in Queens. My biological parents welcomed me with tears of joy, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I wasn't playing a role. Yale called that week. Not only was my scholarship secure, but my app, Class Act, had just been acquired by a major tech firm for a sum that made my former Vance allowance look like pocket change. I wasn't just a scholarship student anymore. I was a self-made woman. 4 years later, I stood on the stage at Columbia University's graduation, having finished my MBA. I was the keynote speaker. As I looked out at the crowd, I saw my biological parents in the front row, beaming with a pride that had nothing to do with bank accounts. And standing off to the side, leaning against a black town car, was Julian Vance. He hadn't spoken to me as a brother in years. Instead, we had become fierce business rivals and occasionally secret allies. He walked up to me after the ceremony, ignoring the press. He didn't offer a hug, he offered a leather-bound folder. "The board wants to invest in your new venture, Maya," he said, his eyes tracing the line of my graduation gown. "They say you have the Vance instinct for blood, even if you don't have the DNA." I took the folder and smiled, the same cold, poised smile I'd used the day Sloan arrived. "I don't have the Vance blood, Julian. I just have the sense to know that the name on the building doesn't matter if you're the one who owns the ground it's built on. Tell our parents I'll see them at the board meeting. I'm buying out their shares." He laughed, a rare, genuine sound, and opened the door for me. I didn't need a ride, but I took it anyway. I had spent my life as a fake heiress, only to realize that by the time they found out the truth, I had already built an empire that was very, very real. I wasn't born a Vance, but I had become the only Vance who actually mattered. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video.